All right, so now let's dive into a discussion on what ITILv4 actually is. And I want to start off by describing it from the perspective of something that is non-IT related. So this is my fictitious bakery, the best cakes in the world for any occasion. Now, obviously, we make cakes, but that is only part of what we do at the best cakes in the world for any occasion. What we need to all realize here during this discussion is that we provide a service. That's what we provide. And that is how you have to think of IT today. IT is a service. It is not a specific product. It is not a router. It is not a switch. It is not a wireless access point. It is not a server. It is not anything of the such. It is a service. That's what IT is, a service. And what does a service entail? A whole bunch of stuff all put together in a way that makes that service as efficient and effective as possible. So for example, best cakes in the world for any occasion. I invite you into my shop, show you samples, let you taste samples. I sit and listen to what you want, how you want it to look, what the occasion is. We sit down, we design the cake on a computer in 3D. I show it to you, I discuss your options, I take your order, I bake the cake, I put it together, I decorate it, I package it up for transport, I deliver it, I set it up at the location of your choosing. I return later to collect my cake ornaments, take whatever cake is left over, package it up for you, hold it at the shop for you so you can pick it up later and eat more cake. All for a service fee. What is my ultimate goal here? What is my ultimate goal of this service? To deliver something to you, some outcome you want, some situation, some scenario you want to achieve without you having to take on the ownership of all the specific costs and risks associated with doing it yourself. I'm giving you something that is extremely valuable to you at a price that is valuable to you, so you don't have to worry or deal with any of this. So if all of a sudden the cake doesn't work out or the cake gets dropped on delivery, that's on me. That's not on you. You don't have to worry about that stuff. That's me. I better be prep for all those situations and scenarios to give you that outcome that you are expecting for the price you are paying it for. And that's what IT is today. So what is ITIL? It is the most widely adopted guidance, best practices for IT service management. It provides you with a framework. And what is that framework? That framework is all about giving you information, knowledge that you can use so that way there you are able to provide the most efficient and effective services through appropriate service management. So is a framework going to tell you do exactly this, do exactly that? No. Does a framework say go buy this product, go buy this thing? No. Does a framework tell you how to configure it? No. A framework gives you ideas. It gives you information that you can then do what with? Adopt and adapt. So is it prescriptive? No, it's not. It is, hey, you might want to consider something like this if you're trying to do X, Y, Z. Okay, I could adopt that. But I also have to adapt it to meet my needs. So I'm adapting the framework as needed to ensure that it provides the best possible service. And is there always room for improvement? There's always room for improvement. Always is. Why? Because the world is constantly changing. You see, the driving force behind ITIL is change. See, change is inevitable. In today's race for survival, If your organization is not constantly changing and evolving, you're going to be left behind and never to be remembered. And it's not about making big, massive changes. It's about making small, incremental changes that ultimately do what? Add value to whatever it is you are doing. Now, for those of you with previous ITIL experience, just to give you a heads up here. So, those of you with previous ITIL experience, you might remember that ITIL stood for IT, so Information Technology Infrastructure Library. It doesn't mean that anymore. So that's gone. They got rid of that. And ITIL is now just a 4-letter word, which many people use like other 4-letter words. Until they embrace it. And then it becomes a funny 4-letter word. It's just ITIL. That's all it is. And remember this. This is important. What you see here is important for the exam, right? A framework that you adopt and adapt. Very, very key right there for your exam success. Because if anybody ever tells you it's prescriptive, do exactly what it says, embrace every word. No, absolutely not, because it's something you adopt and adapt to meet your needs, your organizational needs. So here is our framework. That's what it is. It's a model representing how all the various components like what? Our guiding principles, our governance, our practices, our continual improvements, our service value chain. These are all components. And inside of the service value chain, we have specific activities we'll talk about later on. So all of these components, all of these activities, right? How everything works together to facilitate the value creation. So for example, you're offering a service. That service is being offered because it provides some type of value to someone, something. But how do we get to that value? How do we get there? Or how do we increase that value? How do we make it better? Right? That's what this does for me. It allows me to take some opportunity, some demand, and convert it into something valuable by using industry tried and true best practices. And if you're just hearing about ITIL now, you never heard it before. This is not a fad. And if you're like, oh, this is just a fad the organization's going to do, and then it's going to be gone in a year. No, it's been around since the 1980s. And it has evolved itself since the 1980s. And just think about the big, massive, giant corporations today that you, if I said their name, you would know who I'm talking about. They do ITIL. And that allows them to be as efficient and effective and as successful as they are today from an IT service delivery standpoint. So this is not a secret. It is something that is massively shared throughout the world, whether you're just hearing about it now or not. So the exam is based on this. That's what it is. Meaning we're going to cover the guiding principles. We're going to cover a little bit of governance. We're going to cover a lot of the practices. We're going to cover what's going on here in continuous improvement, as well as various activities in the service value chain and how it's all put together to create the value. So terms, definitions, and being able to explain and explore and describe some of this stuff is your goal when it's all said and done. There it is. There's the picture of what you're trying to accomplish. And then we have also, as part of the exam, the 4 dimensions of service management. So the 4 perspectives that are critical to the effective and efficient facilitation of value for customers and other stakeholders in the form of products and services. So what is this all about? It's all about thinking and working holistically. That's really what it is. It's about making sure anytime we are trying to produce something of value, we are looking at from all these perspectives, from the organizations and people, the information and technology, the value streams and the processes, the partners and the suppliers, right? These are gears that when one changes or one moves or one turns, you see how it affects all the other ones? And then you have those other factors around the outside, political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental, all these different factors around the outside, which ultimately affect what's happening in those 4 different dimensions that ultimately produce our value. Meaning you can't think of things in isolation today. You have to think of it in a holistic way, thinking of it as the whole and how that part interacts with the whole in order to get the best possible value when it's all said and done. So more on both of these in our upcoming discussions.